Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of A Scotsman Talks To. I'm your host, Callum Lycan, and, you might notice this episode, my eyes are going everywhere. Anyone that follows me knows that I had a bit of a disaster at the beginning of the week, and my dear little laptop that used to overheat this room has gone partially to the laptops of heaven in the sky. I'm now using my wife's desktop, which means two things. Okay, this is great. 2 monitors, wonderful, but that means I'm going to be like this all night because I can't focus. And secondly, the tower is now outside, which is amazing because that actually means hopefully I won't overheat and go bright red by the end of this chat. So there are positives in everything. Welcome, though, and thank you very much for joining. The madness ensues in the world, as we know. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this world, folks. I'm kind of giving up on a lot of things. I'm not entirely sure if sacrificing the youth for the greater good is the best idea. I'll let you guys decide upon that. I kind of was quite happy to go back to the murder hornet idea earlier in the year, but sadly that's not happening. The world is just gone. It's wrong. Politics are wrong. Everything's wrong. And I want to thank you for joining me in this little oasis of calm, of pleasure, of enjoyment, and a little bit of sadness, because today is the day that Edmonton Fringe would have kicked off. I wouldn't be here. I would be up in Edmonton, and I'm going to be honest, 7 o'clock, I'd be drinking in a bar with a lot of performers at this point, because that is pretty much what we do when we get together. But sadly, the world is ending and all performances have been postponed. But I am grateful to have been able to gather together the kind of the creme de la creme, the finest, the most talented, the most intelligent performers of the Fringe this month, to do a Scotsman Talks To, and basically to entertain you and to allow you to get to know these performers that you see on stage, that you idolize from a distance, that you're not allowed to touch or lick their eyeballs or anything. You've basically just got to kind of enjoy their show. But tonight's guest is another guest actually in the long list that I've never met. We were actually trying to work this out. Had we passed each other like ships in the night at Edmonton in 2016? Had we drunkenly thrown abuse at each other over a bar? We'll never know. We'll just never know. But my guest tonight is Kurt Fitzpatrick, not Fitzgerald. That was John Huston's doing that made me kept going to that name. Kurt Fitzpatrick is our guest, a wonderful comedian. He's got loads on YouTube. I've been laughing at some of his stuff, and he is a fan favorite in the Fringes all over the place. If I remember correctly, reading his bio, he actually was one of the first performers in Edmonton, but I will double check that with him. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to A Scotsman Talks To, Kurt Fitzpatrick. I nearly said it again. Fitzgerald, not the right name.
Hello.
Kurt, how are you?
I'm great. I love that intro. People are idolizing me from a distance.
Oh, well, that's it. Well, they want to stroke you or lick your eyeballs, and we have to say no. Enough.
No, distance.
Yeah. Like, so how are you, good sir? How's life treating you?
I'm doing okay, hanging in there. I'm broadcasting here from New Jersey.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes. For some reason, I knew you were out east. I just couldn't remember where.
Yes.
So but are you a New Jersey boy, or?
I grew up in South Jersey. I was born in Philadelphia, and I grew up in South Jersey. Then I lived in Brooklyn for many years. Then I moved back to Jersey, but now I live in Jersey City.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
And I'll be brutally honest, and a lot of that just went over my head. Like geographically, America and all that. No, I'm lost.
Well, that's okay.
So, Kurt, thank you very much for joining us. I will try and not be rude about America, because I know there are some really intelligent people down there who are basically banging their heads on walls.
Yeah, I don't think the stereotypical American appears in the Canadian Fringe. So the Americans who come up and do the Canadian Fringe, I think we're the polite people.
The intelligent ones.
Yeah.
So, to start off with, before we get into anything, Kurt, I think the best thing to do would be just to give yourself a brief introduction. Let the world know who you are. Heaven forbid somebody doesn't know who you are. But please, just give us a little introduction to yourself and what you are.
Sure. I'm an actor and a performer and a writer. I've been on the Fringe circuit. The first Fringe I did was 2004. So many years of Fringes. I've done like close to 70. So I did that. I've also been an improviser for even longer than that. And then way back in the day, I went to school for film and TV. So I was doing that. But these days, yeah, I'm a writer, actor, performer. I've done various shows on the Fringe too. I've done different solo shows, and I've done other shows with other actors as well.
Yeah, I was having a look at your website and enjoying the huge amount. Some of the reviews are phenomenal. I'm just kind of jealous, I'll be honest. I nearly canceled the show after reading your reviews.
You know, I've been through the ringer with those reviews because I've done the Fringe for so long. I had some rough years with reviews as well, but the recent years have been good. You know, but I definitely went through. I remember 06, I had some rough. 06 and 07, I had some rough reviews at times. I once had a review, I think it was in Edmonton, where they had a giant picture of me, and I believe the headline was said "one man train wreck," or they said that in the review. They said this one man train wreck. It was like, whoa. But it was okay because it didn't come out until late in the run. I had a good run regardless. So,
to be honest, Edmonton's always been brutal for me as well. And thankfully, for my first year, which we were mentioning, both you were there in 2016 when I first came over here. I had the infamous Mr. Kent reviewing me, and it was a terrible review, but it sold out my show.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah,
I got lucky.
You're gonna get. I mean, if you keep doing the Fringe, you know, as you know, you'll get some good. I mean, I did in Winnipeg one time. I had a show. I got 4.5 stars from the Free Press and 1 from the CBC, and they saw the same performance.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's one of those things. So when you come to the Fringes, then what sort of shows do you put on? Let people know kind of what you deliver. I've seen your website. I kind of know, but obviously, you know, as I say, you might be a new face to a lot of the audience. So what type of shows do you specialize in or do you have fun with?
Oh, like what kind of shows am I in, you mean? Or
when you come to the Fringes, etc. Yeah, what are you putting on?
Well, I've done all different kinds of shows. I started doing a solo show that was like a storytelling show. Then I did a show that's more of a character kind of thing. Then I did like a multimedia show, and then the more recent years, I did a show called Best Picture, which was me and 2 other actors.
I'm looking at the picture now.
Yeah. So it was me and John Patterson, Tara Travis, and then Rachel Kent was in it. After that, and so we did a show where it was the 3 of us. We would perform or parody every single Best Picture winner in an hour. So that was the hook about that show. So I did all different kinds of things, which I kind of looked back at that and I thought, well, sometimes when you look at people who are kind of branding themselves and doing like a similar thing, it's a lot easier to build an audience. When you do what I do and you're just kind of doing different things, it's a little harder.
Yeah.
But I didn't learn that until after I was doing it for 12 years. So, yeah. I look back and think, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yep. Excellent. No, that's actually a valid point, because I'm discovering that slowly as well, because I always want to try different things. And then you realize that people kind of want you for what you specialize in. But I do have a question.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your website. I have it over to the side here. And there's a very dubious photo of you on the Best Picture poster. Oh, and you have blue face paint on. You have what would resemble a Mel Gibson wig and kilt on.
Oh, okay. That was Braveheart, I guess.
Yes.
Funny, but yeah, there's one of me as Gollum. That's That's a frightening little picture.
Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah,
that's in there. Yeah.
So please tell me, did you do your Braveheart parody with a bad Scottish accent like Mel
No,
Gibson?
I didn't even do it. We that poster was designed by Kurt Furla, who's he does a lot of posters on the Fringe, and he didn't know who was acting as who. So I think John Patterson, he played the Braveheart character. So you have to blame him for that. I think he did the Scottish accent, or maybe it was
Right. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I always have to ask because every guest has tried to do a bad Scottish accent on the show. So I like to get it over and done with if people are trying.
No, I'm not going to try that because I'd be imitating you. That would be kind of rude.
that's okay.
My frame of reference right now. So
yeah. So Kurt, let's hit you with the first major question. Okay. Basically, the way I've done this show is I've kind of taken it from what I do at storytelling and basically kind of looked at the questioning from the Joseph Campbell's hero journey concept. Now, quite often, I don't get through all the questions because we ramble, meander, go off in tangents. But the first and main question I always like to get out is this. Your origin story. Just to let everybody know how it came to be. How did you evolve into what you are today? Where it all began? What is the origin story of Kurt into performance?
Well, I can tell you my origin story is how I got in the Fringe, because that's been its own journey. Because I have origin stories, and I think I'm still experiencing my origin story. I don't think I've fully arrived yet, but with the Fringe, I did in 2003. I did a solo show. And this is after I had done a lot of acting and improv and sketch comedy. And I did a solo show. It ran for 3 nights in New York at a venue called Under St. Mark's. And then I don't think I really knew what I was going to do with that afterwards, but somewhere I heard about a Fringe. And I entered the New York Fringe Festival, which I'm not even sure if that's still around, International Fringe Festival. And I entered the San Francisco Fringe. So I didn't get into the New York one, but the San Francisco Fringe was a lottery, and I got in. And I remember thinking, based on my experience of doing performances in New York, majority of the audience I would get would be like people I know or people another cast member would know or friends and family, and get like a little smattering of other people. So I thought I was going to go to San Francisco and I wasn't going to get anybody in the audience, which is, I don't know what I was thinking, that I was going to fly to San Francisco and do shows for nobody. So I don't know what I was thinking there, but I did. Flew on up to San Francisco, and they didn't billet people. In other words, they didn't give people a home to stay in.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they didn't bill it in San Francisco, so I didn't know anything about that, and I didn't reserve a hotel, and I just arrived at the airport and had got a cab to take me to the area of the Fringe, which is the Tenderloin area of San Francisco, and I found a residential hotel and I stayed there, and then I did my first show. This is how naive, and I was a little too old to be this naive, so I don't know what was going on. And I remember, like, I guess I was backstage and I could see, and I was like, wait, I was like, people are coming in. I was like, what do people do? I was shocked that people were coming in the audience. So
no, go away. Why are you here?
Do you understand where you are? What do you... So then it was amazing. So I had this whole run of shows, and it went well. I got reviewed, and I don't even think it was a great review, but I was so excited. I was in the newspaper. I was like, look at this. And I think I saw every single show, everything. And I met like all these great people, so the next year I was like, oh, I'm in. But actually, no, when I was at San Francisco, they had a little informal meeting where people talked about Fringe touring. And these people were like, yeah, I toured this city and that. I was like, who are you people who do this? Like, I thought you had to be like, famous, like a rock star to do that, So the next year I applied for all these festivals. I did a couple in the US, but I also went to Saskatoon. And that was where I experienced, and yeah, I know people were like, what are you doing here? You go here between festivals. You just came here? I said, yeah. And that's where I discovered the Canadian Fringe. That was in 2005, and I was blown away by this whole world of Fringe. So from then on in, I was hooked on that. So that's my origin story in the Fringe. And I'm a performer. I'm someone who really hung in there for a long time, because I think I had a lot of growing to do, and I had to really, I don't know, I guess like learn how to be a better performer. And I didn't, as I was saying, I didn't necessarily get great reviews for like some years, and I just hung in there, and I was really like struggled to get audiences. It took me a bunch of shows until I really had some like real success.
Yeah, no, I totally get you. I started over in Edinburgh, and then when I decided to try this crazy trip to Canada, I had no idea. And I think it was over here I discovered about the Fringes. I didn't know. And like yourself, I did Edmonton, and then discovered this whole touring concept. So I'm totally with you on that whole kind of journey there. What I loved about that is the fact that I've never looked at it that way, and I feel guilty now that when you get a review in the paper, even if it's bad, you're still in the paper. And I just like that. I've never looked at it from that way.
Yeah. I don't know if it happens as much, because like you figure the newspapers were more prevalent back in like 2004 or 5. So I don't know if it's happening as much. Yeah, I was in Winnipeg. I was like 2006. I was on the cover. They put me on the front cover of the Free Press, and it wasn't even a good review. They just put me on the front cover. I asked the guy at the deli if I could have it for free. I was like, "Hey, can I have this for free? That's me." And he just kind of looks at the paper. He looks at me. He's like, "No." That's great. You're full of laughs. And then I remember at my billet in Winnipeg, they left the newspaper on the kitchen table with a bad review on it, and they all left the room so that I could like sit there and drink my coffee. I guess they wanted me to just sit there and deal with the review, and they wouldn't have to experience this.
The weeping, the tears, the rage.
But I don't take it that seriously. I think I would get kind of bummed out, for a little bit. I'm like, all right, I got to move on. But I knew people who would read bad reviews, and then you'd never see them again. Oh, well.
I remember my first bad review in Edmonton. It was Rob Gee.
Rob Gee, yeah.
You know Rob?
Yeah,
he'd read it first, and I came down from the billet for breakfast, and he was sitting there, and he kind of went, "Your review's in," and he broke it to me gently, and it was just like having this guy who's done it for years just kind of break it to this guy who's just getting into it. It was really funny. It was I look back at that and just think that was quite sweet of him.
Yeah, no, he would be a great person to because I was on the road with him. I think the first year he did it in 2006.
Yeah,
I've known him for a long time. But yeah, I kind of evolved with the reviews. At the beginning, I would read every single one. And then I think I went through a period where I wasn't going to read any of them. But you can't get away with that, because then you'll run into somebody and they'll say, "Hey, sorry about that review." I'm like, well, that cat's out of the bag,
Yeah, I was told to ignore the reviews and just nobody reads them. And I was like, yeah, but that's not good. They'll look at the stars. If they don't read the review, then
Yeah, I think it's changed over the years. Well, I mean, obviously, but you figure back 2006, 2007, like these days, word of mouth carries more weight because of Twitter and all that stuff.
Yeah, I've definitely encountered that, and that's a very valid point now, because I remember you're walking around the Fringe and people are kind of like, "Oh, bad review," but then you've got people going, "Oh, I heard your show's great. We're coming to see you," and you're like, "But it was a bad review."
Yeah.
So how did you actually get into performance then? Is there a story there? Or is that like a dark secret that you don't want the world to know?
It's a dark secret. Yes, I always wanted to perform. I did when I was in high school. I auditioned for a play my senior year, and it was a little jarring for people to see me on stage. My first solo show I did was called "Hooray for Speech Therapy." So it's about my stuttering, my experiences as a stutterer, which I stutter when I say the word stutter. So I was kind of quiet, and I was also kind of shy, for years. So I don't think people really saw me as a performer, although I could see myself as a performer. But I did. So I started performing then. I did a play, and I did like a sketch show that we put together in high school, and that was like a big hit. And then I just loved. That's what I had always wanted to do. So I just kept acting from there. I went to film school and did my thing there. So I guess that's how I started. And when I was living in New York, I was still in the area, but I was just I was in improv troupes and sketch troupes and all that. So my entrance way, I guess I went into it when I was a senior in high school. I really started.
Excellent. So the passion's been there for a while. And it's just evolved. And is it something you do full time? I've been kind of researching you, but I didn't kind of get an indication for that. Is this been your life, your dream, or do you, like a lot of performers, juggle other things just to make it more feasible?
I have to juggle all the things. Yeah. I've done the Fringe, like depending on the Fringe, sometimes I can make a living at that. Sometimes I can't, but I've had to do other kinds of work around that. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. There's a lot of people. John Huston. I don't know if you know John. Yeah. Like John, he's so frustrated at the moment because his other income, as he says affectionately, is he's waiter. He works as a waiter.
He works as a waiter. Yeah.
When you see John with his beard and the way he always wears a suit, every time I see him and they know that he works as waiting staff just to kind of bring in a little extra coin, I always think of that traditional French waiter, the big long apron. And I don't know what it is about him. That's the image I get.
No, I could see him doing that. I could see him like working in like an historic house or something like that.
Yeah. He's a lovely guy. No, I personally am a maniac that just tries to do this full time, which fantastic. I will tell the world now is a great profession until COVID hits. Then it's just gone. It's just, I've moved everything about. If you see me do this, I'm reaching for my water bottle, which is now here.
Now I haven't seen any of your shows. You do storytelling shows?
Yeah, I'm just a storyteller. And I say just, I always say that because that is pretty much what I do. I do the old traditional oral storytelling style of things. So I'm totally jealous of people who can act and do script work and theater stuff, because I literally just go up in front of an audience and entertain them and scare them by having my house lights up and talking to them.
Okay.
That's pretty much my show.
That sounds good.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for a while. One of the kind of things that a lot of people work with as they develop as a performer is the training, the professional development, mentor. Is that something that you've ever done, Kurt, just out of interest? I'm always curious to see, we know you started in high school. We know where you are now. But was there any training, or are you one of those people that just forged your own path?
Well, I didn't really have a mentor. There was training. I went to school for film and TV at Temple University, and then I took acting classes at HB Studios, which is in New York, and I took several years of improv classes. I took improv at HB Studios. Then Second City had classes in New York for a while. I did that. I took some. I wasn't really in the Upright Citizens Brigade community, but I did some classes there. So I did quite a bit of that. I never really had a mentor, and that's something, like, looking back, I think that would have helped me a lot. I think that's advice I would give to somebody who was just, if you were just starting out, I would say to seek out a mentor, because that could save a lot of time. It could lead to opportunities. I don't know whether I would have found anybody or not, but I never really seek that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of self-taught with the facilities you had available.
Yeah, and a lot of it's learning on the job, because I didn't go to I never went to theater school. So when I started doing the Fringe, there was a bit of learning curve I had. Because I remember the very first Fringe, I had to strike the stage. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Oh, okay. Yeah. So there were like little things I had to learn.
What does strike the stage mean?
Strike the stage. See, everyone's learning. You just have to clear the set.
Oh, right.
Yeah, strike.
Maybe they'd never asked me to do that because I don't have a set.
I don't remember having a set either, but for some reason I remember that. Oh, I don't even know. That was one thing, but there was something else where there was like see, now I don't remember the terminology, where they're putting little pieces of tape on the stage, and there's a word for that. I don't know. Maybe somebody in the
audience. Know what? This sounds like in the Fringes that I've done over here, that's never happened. Like literally, I've never seen anyone do that for my shows. Now I feel cheated. Now I feel that they've only half-arsed what I do.
Sometimes there's little pieces of tape on the stage. There's a word for this, and it's for whatever props or whatever that are on the stage. Okay. Sometimes there's 5 different shows in there, and there's tape all over the stage, so you can't figure it out. But
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I've seen that. That's good. Somebody's actually asking about the Fringes here. Do you change what show you do every Fringe, or do you rotate your sets?
I've done all different things. The last time I did the Fringe will be last year, but 2016 was probably the only year where I did one show in every festival. Yeah, I definitely.
Wow.
Well, would that be true? No, that would be true, because like the early years I was doing the same one, but. Yeah, it depends. I've done years where I mix it up, and other years were just one show. Wow. I think with Rob G, speaking of Rob G, I believe what he used to do, I don't know if I could give away his secrets, but he would get a new show he's working on. So he would like tour his finished show. You probably know
this one. Yeah.
He would tour his finished show across Canada, but one city, like a smaller city like Saskatoon, he would bring a new show under a different title. So I think he could do it, try it out, and he brings it to the next show. So if he gets any like bad reviews on it, it's not going to follow him the next year because he changed the title.
Yeah, I heard a few Fringe performers say something like this. There is a city in Canada where they quite often change the show for that city because it's notoriously difficult for reviews, and if you get caught with a bad review in there, it will follow you. So I know there's quite a few performers do that, and not just Rob. They have that one show that they take there just as a safety net.
Yeah, I was horrified when I did the Canadian Fringe 2006. I didn't know that bad reviews were going to follow me. I thought, well, okay, Toronto, I got a couple of bad reviews, and now the show is tighter, and I can go to Winnipeg, and I have a new beginning. But as soon as I arrive, I'm opening a newspaper, and there's some review from Toronto. I'm like, what's this?
Yeah. I heard about this as well, and it terrified me.
Nobody told me. I learned the hard way.
Yeah, because I know in the UK that doesn't happen. In the States, I'm presuming that doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, they don't really have quite a circuit here in the States.
Yeah. But for some reason in Canada, like literally, it's like the jungle drums, man. If you get a bad review, it's coast to coast.
You got to have your act. That's the thing too. I learned that early on. It's like you got to have your act together. There's no margin to fail. Maybe there was years ago, but in my experience, there's not really a margin to fail. You got to get your act together before you get there. Opening night, you better have your shit together. Because you could be in big trouble. You might get lucky and have a generous reviewer or something. But.
Well, it's weird because we were discussing just in the pre-show chat Edinburgh Fringe, and I had done Edinburgh. Now Edinburgh Fringe is the biggest show on earth, basically for Fringes, and it's like 26 days, and I was doing 2-3 shows a day, having a great time, getting decent reviews. You know, I've got a bag of 5-star and I think one 4.5-star. Which, because she was too scared to give me 5 reviews. And then I came to Canada, and all of a sudden it's like my reviews are just rock bottom. And I'm kind of like, what is going on here? And then I find out this idea that if you get a bad review when you're touring your show, it can just end you.
Yeah.
And to me, that's horrifying because it's like, no, let people actually see your show and make them decide. Because reviewers quite often are lovely people.
Right.
We'll just say that.
Well, what happened? Were you you brought the same show that you were doing in Edinburgh to the Canadian Fringe? And you just had a different...
Yeah, I think it was. My first one was my Edinburgh show too. And that was the thing, I advertised it with those 5-star reviews. Oh, that was painful.
Yeah.
That was painful.
It's tricky. I mean, a long time complaint. The complaint I've been hearing for years is that a place like Winnipeg, Edmonton, they just, and I don't know if this is going on anymore, but a publication will say, we're going to review every show. Well, they don't have that expansive of a staff of theater reviewers. So they would send out the person who usually does the classifieds or the person who does the sports section, and they would all review all the shows. And so you were lucky if you got maybe the 1 or 2 reviewers who actually had some theater experience.
Yeah.
The people would get this review from the person who edits the editorials, and they would not be happy at all. Well,
yeah, that's I believe that is still happening.
Okay.
A lot of them are hiring students or people just off. Well, this sounds awful, but to be honest, it's like, to me, it's like they're just hiring people off the street, sending them in, and none of them have got experience, and they're maybe not interested. I'm a great believer that, you know, when you do a show, you'll probably feel the same way. You invest in your show. The paying audience invests in your show, but the reviewers come and they just don't care. They don't invest. So what you get is this bland, below average reviewer, because they're coming and not interested while everyone else is loving it, and they're, well, hopefully loving it. And it's, yes, it is a big problem. It's a huge problem over here. I've noticed it. And it's, if you're on any of the Fringe sites and chat rooms, it's one of the major topics that always pops up.
I saw last year people were complaining that they weren't getting reviewed in Edmonton.
Interesting. I missed that one. Yeah.
I remember, like, the worst thing to experience on the circuit was to get a bad review from the Edmonton Journal. It's like, if you got that, you were done. And I did my show in Edmonton, and it was such a great show. I remember feeling so great after the show. I felt like I was walking on air. And so people in the audience seem to like it, and I get my review. I look at my review online. It's like a 1-star, Edmonton Journal. And I was looking at my computer, and I'm like, well, I'm still here, still alive. It's not, you know, if this is the worst thing that's going to happen to me, it's not so bad.
Yeah, but I think a couple of years back, people were getting 0 stars.
Oh, no.
There was like a huge run of people getting 0s and 1s, and it caused such an issue because a lot of the shows, and I may be misquoting this. I've got a feeling the wonderful Martin Docherty, he got something like a 1-star review. I might be wrong. Somebody of that caliber who usually gets the 5-star reviews was hit with a 1-star review, and the whole Fringe nearly stopped. I mean, it was just like,
no, that's ridiculous.
It was just crazy.
Yeah, there was a reviewer who gave TJ Dahl a 1-star, and he's amazing. Everybody, all of us know he's, you know, how he got like a 1-star in like the Weekly and the whatever it was, the View or something like that. Some of this, I don't even know the View is still around. There's
yes, yeah, it's still going. They're horrendous.
Okay.
They have become the epitome of evil reviews for Edmonton. You'll discover that I'm never going to be able to go back to Edmonton after doing these shows. This podcast, because basically I will get crap reviews. They'll come at me with pitchforks.
They're going to watch this episode, and both of us are in trouble.
This has been an ongoing conversation with most of the people who are connected to the Fringes. The reviews is just, it's a horrendous thing.
Oh, so my advice to anybody who wants to do the Fringe too is I learned this the hard way. Don't comment on some bad review. Don't get into a dialogue. Don't do it. I got in trouble. A reviewer I commented on, and I wasn't going to be anonymous because I think that's a cowardly thing. So I signed my name as in my response to this bad review. I think somebody commented on my comment and said they were never going to see one of my shows again. They said they're going to like run me out of town. It's like, boy. with a pitchfork, I guess.
What did you say?
I don't remember. It was some kind of It couldn't have been that bad. I couldn't imagine I was writing that bad. But the reviewer seeked me out the next year and came and trashed me again.
Eviscerated you.
They came back. Yeah, they come back.
Yeah, they do. Do you remember there was a wonderful show? They got destroyed the year before, so they brought a show back the next year titled something about the reviewer. The actual title was about the reviewer, and they did this whole show about them. And of course, that was they were never seen again after that, apparently.
No, I never heard that. That's
yeah. It was I can't remember. It was like a theatre group did this weird thing, and they came back and to attack the reviewer with a show about the reviewer.
That goes to show you how much of an impact some of these reviews will have on you. And I've carried some. It's where I'm just like, I know that person had it in for me. Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it is always it is one of those things. And we could talk about reviewers all night because, to be honest, they are the evil of the bot. Don't say it. They're lovely people.
It's a tough gig, and there are good reviewers. So
there are. We've got. I always compliment a guy called Louis Hobson in Calgary. He's a wonderful reviewer. He doesn't work in a star system. He just gives pros and cons and ups and downs. So it's a very balanced review.
Yeah.
As I say, my problem with the reviewers is they've got a lot of people they just hire for that time that don't know or have no interest. They're looking for a quick buck.
Yeah.
And that's what it creates problems for a lot of performers who have spent a lot of money, invested a lot of time to come and do a show, and it can be destroyed in the first couple of days.
Well, that's the thing. That's a problem I've had, that reviewers should understand the responsibility they have, because like we're doing a Fringe show it's different than reviewing a movie where everybody who's worked on the movie has already gotten paid. Like we're kind of struggling here. So yeah.
No, that is true. That is true. So going back to your kind of performance life and your development, when was it that you actually knew? As I say, I'm always quite intrigued to find out people's journeys, because I know where I came from and how I got into it, but I like to kind of get that feel for other performers. When was that threshold? When did you hit that point where you knew this was a life you wanted? Is there a memorable moment, or is it just a gradual build up?
When did I know this was the life I wanted? I really think it's something I've always wanted to do. Like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a comedian and be an actor. I think I really wanted to be in movies, more like movies and TV. I think it's something that I always wanted.
Yeah. So it's just been a dream and a passion. So was there any moment though that really, when you were performing or something, that it just gave you that kind of like, this is, was there a reaffirming moment at all that you can think of?
Yeah, that has happened over the years. Every once in a while, there's just like the perfect show or the perfect experience that you wouldn't have otherwise. And you have other shows where, you might not be feeling well, or it might be all right. Or I think that's, how do I articulate this? I mean, I guess I could understand somebody losing interest in performing if they didn't really have that passion, because you're always going to go through a patch where you're going to have some rough shows where the tech is bad and people aren't showing up and there's 2 people in the audience, and you're just going to keep going through that. And if you can push through those shows, you're going to get to something. You're going to get to a show or some kind of experience that's going to be like beyond anything you could imagine. And then you'll go back to having those other shows.
Yeah.
but just having those incredible experiences that just keeps reaffirming things. So
wonderful. Yeah. No, that's a really nice way of putting it. And as you were talking, I was just thinking about, those moments in my journey, and I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. Very nicely put, Kurt. I like that. It's
really been an amazing life in a way. Like I would like that. There's in a lot of ways I'd like to be more successful, and I think about that sometimes. But then I think, it's been incredible. The kind of I've got to work with people who are just so incredibly talented. I mean, some of these people are like superstars now, and some people nobody knows who they are, but they're incredibly talented as well. I've been really fortunate. I always kind of focus on the people I've got to meet and the people I've got to work with over the years. I'm so grateful for that.
Excellent. Nice. Yeah. So the next stage in any journey of life and performance is that moment of disaster. Now, you've had a rough year this year as it is, reading your bio, or not a rough year, a challenging year. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's maybe the pinnacle of the challenge, but during your performance life, has there ever been a point that you've actually been ready to give up? Has there been a moment that's nearly destroyed it? Or would you say, you fought through it like you have, thankfully, this year?
I think I've fought through things. I think with money, sometimes I get stressed out about money, as a lot of us do. So sometimes as a performer, I'm also kind of struggling financially. So that has given me pause at times. Yeah, it's that could be difficult.
Yeah, the finances, as always. Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you ever come close to just packing it in, or are you one of those determined, pig-headed souls?
I guess I'm a determined, pig-headed soul. I guess so. I remember like some years ago, I was just thinking. I kept auditioning for stuff. This is before I was on the Fringe. I kept auditioning for things, and I was just like struggling financially. And I was like, I don't know. It was like the only time I ever really thought like, I'm not sure how much more I can do this. And then I got like that week, I got offered to do a children's theater tour for like 2 months. I was like, well, I'm back in.
Yeah. I love it. So this year, how much has that impacted on you with the COVID? How many gigs roughly? What sort of events have you lost, or were you due to have a quiet year anyway?
Well, I was doing a show in January. I was hired to be in a solo show. That was the last thing I did, and I was in London Fringe. I was supposed to do that, but yeah, what you're talking about, my bad year. When we get into that, I had a cancer diagnosis in December 23rd. So I've been through that. I went through chemo. I had a B-cell follicular non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Okay.
So I went through chemo from February to June. So it finished a few months ago. So I was canceling. I canceled London Fringe because of that. Yeah. So
yeah, I've kind of followed your posts and kind of caught up on things. So I'm glad that you're doing better. I'm disappointed though you've got hair again. I was reading all your posts about that, and I was so looking forward to somebody who was follicularly challenged like myself.
I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Yeah, it's growing slowly.
Yeah,
slowly happening. Yeah. Yeah,
good. But that's all done. I didn't want to kind of go into that without you raising that, because I appreciate these things can be personal. But it's nice that you've got through. And with that in mind, so you've given me a unique question.
Okay.
So you've been through something which is potentially very scary for people.
Mm-hmm.
Has that given you a new drive, a new lease on life, and potentially to drive forward with your performance?
Yes, I think it has. Unfortunately, we are where we are, where I can't. There's a real limitation to what I can do right now. But when I got the cancer diagnosis, I got it from my doctor. I got it like from a general physician who I had just had a CAT scan, and so like 1 hour later, I was called to the doctor's office. She just said, "You have cancer." So okay. So then I basically had from there, she had me see an oncologist. So I basically had a 1 hour walk to see the oncologist for the first time. And all I knew was I had cancer and I had it all over. So I thought, I guess this is it, So I was just thinking about, I really regret that I haven't really had I didn't feel like I had the success that I really wanted to have. So that was one of the things that I considered. But I think it's just, geez, I think it's, I thought a lot about time. I'm trying to articulate this correctly, but I just thought about, oh boy, I'm not sure how to word this, but I don't know. I guess it gave me perspective of how much time that I really have, and to really enjoy the time I have. And I enjoy doing the Fringe. Like I love doing the Fringe. I love performing. Like I really do love performing and creating, and that's something that I really want to continue doing. And I think I was maybe getting away from that a little bit because I hadn't done the Fringe. I had toured for a couple of years. I did 2016. I didn't do it in 17 and 18. So I think that answers your question. But yeah, there's a lot of discoveries there.
I love it. No, again, sorry, I don't want to dwell on the negative, but I'm morbidly curious about things like this, and particularly from a performance perspective, because it's nice to know that it's kind of like, yes, that thing's happened, but it's kind of made you realize, oh, I really kind of maybe want to get back into that life and tour again.
It wasn't that, in some ways it wasn't a negative experience. If you look at my Facebook page, what happened when I got my cancer diagnosis, my friend Howard Heyman, who lives in my house, he's a photographer, and he offered to do a photo essay of my journey going through chemo and going through everything.
It's pretty cool.
And I was like, well, that's kind of, I knew that would really put me in a very vulnerable light, but I thought, well, he's giving me rides and stuff. He was helping me out. Okay, sure, we'll do it. So that's what's all those pictures on my Facebook page were a lot of the things. There was one night after my second chemo session that I was eating, and I noticed hair started falling on my plate. It was about like 8 o'clock at night, and I was like, oh, I was just pulling hair out of my head. And so I called Howard, said, Howard, it's happening. My hair's coming out. So he just came up and took pictures of me as I was like pulling hair out of my head. So, it's kind of amazing that I had a photographer on hand to get these moments. But I got so much support from so many people going through that. It was really an amazing experience in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had a look at some of the images of that, the photographs that were taken on that journey, and yeah, kind of really cool and a really interesting kind of approach to it, because certainly a lot of them show a real kind of, it's going to sound weird, a positive energy. There was definitely, I didn't see too many that made that you looked like you were being beaten down by it. It was almost like, no, I'm going to tackle this, I'm going to hit it head on, and definitely humor in there.
Well, I learned something I've learned over the years is I feel I have good instincts. And I think the first day I got the diagnosis, my instinct was, I had an instinct that I was going to get through it. I said, you're going to get through this, but it's going to be hard, but you're going to get through this. And so I held on to that. And when I saw when I saw my oncologist, I had an instinct about him. I felt like he was good. I had a few people say you should get a second opinion about things. I felt like I don't need a second opinion. I trust him. Yeah. And that was really important for me to listen to my instincts, because sometimes I've had instincts I don't listen. That's been a mistake. So I think I held on to I held on to those things. So I fully believed I would get through that,
Yeah, no, that's and we're glad you did. So congratulations. Is that what you say to people? I don't know.
I'm in remission, so it's good. And I'm going to.
Yeah, I saw that. That's wonderful. Yes. Absolutely wonderful. So another thing I'm kind of really actually curious about, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of pulling weird things out here, but you mentioned that you have a stutter. And I've kind of picked up a few times, and in my head I'm smiling, but not in a bad way. It's because quite often it's sounding like it's the S's that kind of you hit more.
Okay.
And as a Scotsman, that's actually something I have a problem with as well, because we very much have a problem with S's. We really push them, so they become very sibilant in like any recordings. I've got to really work out to make sure I don't kind of just sound like a goddamn snake slithering through the jungle. With a stutter in performance, though, I mean, how did you get around that? I mean, I've had a friend with a very bad stutter and suffered all his life from it, and it's affected him quite heavily. So, how did you overcome that? What sort of techniques? Just for anybody out there who may have a stutter as well, is there any ways that you've managed to kind of like really tackle that to allow you to get up on stage with that confidence and perform?
Yeah, I've had different phases of my life where I was a severe stutterer. I don't think I would, in general. I guess I probably wouldn't qualify as severe. I know people who are severe, who are like they stutter frequently, or much more frequently than I do. But how did I have the self-confidence to do it? I believe in the early days, like when I first started performing, and I think even when I was just thinking about how much I wanted to do it, like as a kid, I think there was a disconnect. Like I didn't put the two together. This is what I really want to do. And then there's also, well, I stutter, and if a teacher calls me in class, I can't answer, which happens almost every day. But I just didn't sort of put those two things together, I don't know. I guess I don't know what would happen if I had, but yeah, so there was that.
Okay.
Naive, and then really just wanting to perform. I had such a passion for performing that I remember, because when I was in high school, my first year of high school, I had took a French class. I didn't say one word the whole class. The teacher would follow me every single day, and I could never speak.
Okay.
And then and then by the time I got to my senior year, and I was in Godspell. I didn't have a lot of dialogue, but I had some, and I had a song that I did. And I don't know. I just kind of got through it. I remember thinking to myself, well, if I humiliate myself, it'll be okay, because everybody here will someday be dead. And so the humiliation memory will be gone. I remember thinking that.
Wow, that's a very bleak, but a very obvious statement. I like that.
Yeah, so I did that, and so I know there are people who have said, because there are a lot of famous actors who are stutterers, like Bruce Willis.
Mm-hmm.
A stutterer. I had Austin Pendleton as an acting teacher. Actually, he's a stutterer.
Okay.
Let's see. But I have heard people say that, well, people stutter and they get on stage and then they don't stutter, they're fluent. I haven't found that to be 100%. I have stuttered on stage, or I have had points where I can't speak right away, or something like that. So that has happened on occasion. But generally, that's really how people talk. Usually, people don't talk in real life like they're just memorize a script.
Yes.
So there's kind of a natural. I think it gives more of a natural sense of speaking. I actually, I don't know if you're familiar with the actor Austin Pendleton.
No, actually, I was trying to rack my brains, and I don't think I may have seen something, but just the name's not jumping out.
The Muppet movie. He played the stuttering lawyer in My Cousin Vinny. You might remember that.
Okay, yeah.
So he was in that, and he's been in a bunch of things. He was in Beautiful Mind, all kinds of stuff. And I remember in his class, I watched him. No, I was watching two members of the class do a scene, and I just noticed. Usually, when I hear somebody who stutters a little bit, I can pick up on it. I have an ear for it. I didn't pick up on that this guy stuttered. I just noticed there was a different way of talking. And then when they were doing like their feedback part, I saw that he stuttered. And Austin Pendleton said to him, he gave the advice, because I think the guy had said he was a little bit worried. Sometimes he's worried on stage that he's going to stutter. And Austin said, you should always hold on to that, because it always gives you like an uncertainty. You know, you're on stage, no matter what, you know, no matter how many performances you've done, you never know what's going to happen. You know, there's a natural sense. Like, you never know whether you're going to be able to say the words or not. So I thought that was interesting. I've gone to that. Yeah,
that's quite unique. Someone's actually made a comment that they found singing worked well to curb stuttering as well. And you mentioned you'd done some singing in some of your shows. So
yeah, singing is, I never stutter when I sing, but I don't really know what to do with that in terms of communication. You can't really
But. No, that's wonderful. That's really interesting. And sorry for going into that. If that's one of the things you get asked all the time. I'm just curious. And as I say, this show is kind of to introduce people to the performers, but to also kind of give them an idea about performance. And I know people sometimes, you know, if they have a speech impediment or if they have something that's unusual, we'll say they're always reluctant to step into it. But there's all aspects out there for performance. And to be honest, you know, nothing should hold you back. The wonderful Asperger's performers chap, whose name I can't remember. He does a show about Asperger's every year. Adam, I think his name is, and he just goes out there and does stand up. And
I've seen him. Yeah, he's funny. Yeah.
So I'm always just curious, and I want people to know that, you know, it takes everyone to do performance and to actually do it, and nothing should hold you back. So that's great. Thank you for answering that. Honestly.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, so sorry, I'm getting warm. I was hoping not having the computer tower in here would do it, but I suppose the 5 lights adds to the heat as well.
It's hot in here too.
Yeah. So you are in Jersey. How is your weather there actually?
Well, we're expecting rain this week. No, it's great. It's it's been hot. It's been all over the place. And
good. And how is actually, just, you know, on a generic kind of feel, how are people handling things out there? You know, are people being sensible with COVID, or are they just running amok?
In my neighborhood, people are good. It kind of depends on where you go. Because there's a lake, I know, about an hour away or so that I drove past, and there's all kinds of people cavorting there. So I don't know what's happening there. But in my neighborhood, I see people walking down the street wearing masks, and you aren't allowed in the grocery store without a mask. So
good. People are being sensible then. Excellent.
Yeah, it depends on where you are. So yeah.
So what's your plans for the future then? Where are you going? Where's Kurt going next once the world comes back to normality?
Good Lord, let's see. I would like to keep performing, but I would like to get into television. I did a TV pilot, like an independent pilot, a couple years ago, but that didn't really pick up a lot of heat. But I've written a bunch of scripts and TV scripts. What I would love to do, like my dream, and I've gone through my dreams to see, well, what's feasible and what's not. Like this is one thing I do. I guess when you talk about like how things affect me as a performer, I think about what are things I would love to do. Like, what are my dreams, and which ones would be worth? Because I think, well, I would love to be a cast member on Saturday Night Live, and I think, well, it could happen, but it's not 100% impossible.
Yeah,
it's very difficult. You know, there's no, even at my age, it's I think Leslie Jones may have been my age when she got on. That's the only person who ever did it. So we're talking about a sliding scale here. Clearly, what would be really I'd love to do is I would like to create a TV show and have a TV show. Basically, I guess be like a showrunner, a writer, and I'd like to be on the show.
Wonderful.
I would love to do that, and then that would also, and then from that, I'd like to keep doing also more live performing, which I love. Yeah.
Excellent. So basically what you're saying is, excuse me, your top tier is Saturday Night Live, or is that your TV show?
No, I'm not pursuing that because I'd like to pursue being the other thing I said, which is also pretty high up there.
Excellent. No, I'm just curious. So that's kind of high up there. What's the worst case scenario?
Oh Lord, honestly, I've really have thought the worst case scenario. It's hiding in the woods. It's that I run into the forest and live off the land, and that's Plan B.
That's Plan B. That doesn't sound like a bad plan. There's a lot of people in Canada who kind of like that plan already.
Well, it's not too bad. Yeah, what's a Plan B? I don't hiding in the woods. I do think about hiding in the woods.
No, that's fine. No, stick by hiding in the woods. I'm good.
That all right. Winter's going to be hard, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I like it. I'm just curious about the sliding scale because that's quite cool. But I love that idea. So basically, writing's quite a big thing for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you write a lot of TV. You're developing stuff. I mean, if you could do that full time, would you actually give up performance and just settle on writing? And if you were, if it became sustainable?
I don't think I'd have to. I don't think I would write. I think I would be able to still perform. Yeah. But would I just write and not perform? I don't know. I don't know if that would be a scenario that would be that would happen, because I feel like I would still be able to perform on some level.
You would still want that kind of dual edge type thing going.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I love it. That's great. Someone's commenting, have you ever seen the TV show Alone?
Alone?
Yeah. Have you never seen this?
Is that that's a recent thing, right?
Yeah, they drop them off in like the Antarctic or some weird like BC or somewhere, and people have to survive off the land and build their shelter for 100 days or something.
Oh, no. So that's okay. So if I live in the woods,
yeah. Basically, I watch that and I marvel, because being a city guy most of my life, like the idea of camping still gives me the heebie-jeebies.
I don't camp, so I don't know why this hiding in the woods is my.
Yeah. My wife's got me into camping, and I find it very, very uncouth. I mean, I do it, but my idea of camping used to be a 5-star hotel at the end of the campsite.
Yeah, you can't trust those reviews. See, now you're listening to those critics. It's 5 stars.
Oh, we've got a couple of comments here. Let me just see. Oh yeah. They're just saying Alone does combine the TV show and hiding in the woods. So basically, they're trying to sell you on doing this now.
Well, until I mentioned hiding in the woods, there hasn't been a huge response. Now people are all excited.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Excellent. Okay, Kurt, we're going to move on. Okay. We're actually going to move on. I'm trying to keep these interviews in my time zone, so because I also appreciate you're 2 hours ahead.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to like have you up until the wee hours of the morning. So let's move on to the next section of the show, which is something I never told you about. I did a really crap pre-interview chat with you today, I've just realized.
Oh, it's fine. This is
right.
Great.
Are you ready for this? This is 10 silly questions.
Okay.
That the audience have sent in at the beginning of me doing these shows. And basically, these are just quick fire. Answer what you will. There's no psychological test. Nobody will kick in your door if you get any wrong. I promise.
All right.
Okay. What's your favorite kitchen utensil and why?
Oh, wow. Let's see. I know I have to, I know it's got to be the first thing on top of my head, a spatula, because it is pliable. It's you get a bowl. If you get a spoon, if you got some kind of mixture in a bowl and you got a spoon, you might not get it all out, but that spatula, that really does the job.
Okay, could you be more precise? What type of mixture?
Oh, I'm thinking like a pancake mixture.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Okay.
That reminds me of that movie UHF, the Weird Al Yankovic movie. They have a commercial for Spatula City.
I haven't seen that in years.
Okay, you've seen it though. Okay.
Oh my God, yeah. Jeez. Wow. Okay, sorry. You just sent me in a little road there. Okay. What's the worst job you've ever done?
Boy, I've had a lot of different jobs. I worked different temp jobs sometime, and I had a job where I was replaced somebody who had just gotten fired. So they brought me in the next day, and I was the office manager without even realizing I was the office manager. And then I found out that this woman she had her own company, and she just fired people constantly, just fired people, or like yelled at people. And I would sit near where I sat was like right near where her office was. And one time she called in a bunch of people into the office, and I heard her like yelling at them. And she yelled at her one employee, and she said, "Are you retarded?" And this was like in 2018. This was going on.
Wow.
But the thing is, she paid these people so well that they would do whatever she said, and they would just live in fear. And she constantly fired. And so that was that was interesting.
That's a brutal one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I could handle that. Okay.
No.
What's your opinion on garden gnomes?
I don't particularly care for them. I wouldn't purchase anything like that.
I mean, is there a reason? Do they terrify you or unnerve you, or just like you think they're pointless?
If they're alive, they would terrify me. But I imagine they're little statues. So
yeah.
No,
See, I worry about them because I've seen too many things like Child's Play and all that, so you just can't trust them.
That's true. They could come alive at some point. I mean,
so just nonplussed. I like it. Okay. Who would play you in a biopic of your life?
Louis Gossett Jr. He's recently made a comeback with Watchmen. He won an Oscar for An Officer and a Gentleman.
Yeah,
he's an older gentleman now, but I'd like to see what he would do.
Interesting. I like it. Good, precise answer. You've thought that one through a few times, haven't you?
Yes, I've actually been speaking to Louis Gossett Jr. about playing.
No, that was the quickest response to that question I've ever had on the show. It was like, boom, I know.
Well, I've also seen his work, apparently, Officer and a Gentleman. And what was that Enemy Mine, where he's like the alien and he gives birth. It's him and Dennis Quaid.
Holy jings, I didn't even register that. Wow.
Enemy Mine, yeah.
Yeah. God, that's an old one as well. I love that movie. Okay. What superpower would you want, and would you use it for good or evil?
I'd like to be able to fly for free. So basically I could like fly, not actually fly like Superman. What can I do? I was thinking about this because I use it for good. I was thinking I could be invisible, but I think that would be
creepy.
Well, it also wouldn't work out too well. I'd bump into people and stuff like that, and that just wouldn't work. I might read people's minds. I like the idea of that, but I hope I don't hear. I guess I'm going to hear some things I don't want to hear.
Yeah, I cannot. My only problem with the mind reading one is how could you possibly not use it for evil?
Yeah. And the other thing I thought about logistically, reading people's minds, you're not going to really hear, I don't think you would hear articulate thoughts. You would hear like a bunch of, you'd probably hear like a jumble. So I don't think it would work, because I was thinking, because first I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. You could hear what people really think of you or whatever you want, if you want to know that. But I don't think you'd actually hear it that way.
No, I always imagine it would be a bit like Ron Burgundy's trying to warm up for his news segment. Just random slapping of words and screaming and feral noises. And
yeah, that's probably what you'd hear, yeah.
Yeah.
I like Ryan Adam Wells when he was on your show. He said that to have healing powers. He said self-healing, but it'd be kind of what if you could be a healer yourself, that would be
cool.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was just talking about the fact that we're all getting old and self-healing would be really useful.
No, it would, yeah.
There's nothing worse than making that noise when you stand up and realizing it's all over. Okay. Why did the chicken cross the road?
It wanted a better life.
It wanted a better life. Simple, to the point. I like it. Okay. Pineapple on a pizza, yes or no?
I have thought about this, and my gut reaction was no. Then I thought, well, I like pineapple. I'm going to give it a shot. I don't know if I've had too much of that, but I'm going to say yes to that.
Yeah. Everyone goes for your traditional ham and pineapple. I recommend chicken and pineapple with black olives.
I don't like olives, so it's a hard no on the olives. But
okay, it's a shame you're missing out. It's a beautiful combination.
The chicken and pineapple sounds great.
Yeah, always good. And corn. That's one thing I do miss. People don't put corn on their pizzas over here.
What's the quality of pizza? Because in Calgary, and I could say where you're originally from as well. Is the pizza good there?
Well, it depends. It's like everywhere. It depends where you get it. But in Scotland, we have many traditions like chicken and sweet corn or corn, as you guys, and that's lovely. That's just a beautiful, simple. The problem is we quite often deep fry things. So if you went to what we call a fish and chip shop, or a chippy, you could actually order a deep fried pizza supper.
Wow. Okay.
So that is basically a pizza, frozen pizza that they then throw in the deep fryer, and they bring it out. They lightly drain it. They cover it in salt and vinegar, and then they take the greasy, stodgy chips or fries, dump it on, and basically what it is just this mountain of fat, grease, and starch.
Yeah, I don't know if that sounds great.
Yeah. Trust me, when you're hungover, it sounds good.
Okay.
But yeah, that's Scottish cuisine. So yeah, it's like everywhere. It just depends where you go. There were some great pizza places, but I remember being in New York and it had some fantastic pizza places.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they know how to do it. But yeah, so yeah, definitely. There you go. But chicken and sweet corn. It sounds weird, but it works.
Chicken and sweet corn. Okay.
It works. Okay.
All right. Written down.
We'll just convert this into a cooking show. Let me see. Where are we? Which is the correct way to hang the toilet roll?
My toilet paper is not hung, but I would say, I would probably put it over. That's how I've experienced it.
That's what most people say, yeah. And I actually agree. Mine at the moment, and my wife's probably watching, I haven't hung mine again. I have this terrible habit of not hanging my toilet roll in my downstairs bathroom.
Oh, you don't? Okay, yeah. I don't have the hanger thing, so.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's awkward. You need to unhook it, do something with the empty roll, and then put the other one on.
That's just too much work. Who is that?
Sit it on the bunker at your side, it's fine. And then you don't need to worry about the over-under, No, it's
not even an issue.
Yeah, it's done. Okay.
Right.
Where are we? You're stuck in an elevator with one person. Who is it?
Okay, so this question bothers me. I don't like elevators.
So
it'd have to be...
You're stuck in a room with one person.
Well, I would have said for the elevator, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because we share a birthday. We're both April 16th. I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has the strength, he has the height that he could lift up if we have to crawl up the top. The strength, I think I could help him with this, that we could open it up, which I've had to do in an elevator. I had to push it open.
Wow,
but
okay.
Once people on the outside find out that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is locked in an elevator, they will do whatever they can to get him out. So I think he'd be a calming person. He's a smart guy. Plus, we could talk about airplane. I don't care about basketball, but I'd like to hear about airplane.
I love that. Again, a very well thought out answer. It's almost like you've seen the show.
I have, and I did think about that, and I couldn't, and I've surprised myself of how many layers that I have to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wanting to be.
No, I love that. I do actually. I like the fact that you've thought that through, the potential escape options, the fact that people would want to quickly help him out. The fact that you don't want to talk to him about blah, 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 but aeroplane, brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it. That is probably one of the better answers to that question that we've had. Thank you, Kurt. Okay, where are we? We've got 2 left, I believe. I'm just checking my list. Which is your musical artist what is your musical artist guilty pleasure?
Oh yes, I thought about this too, and there's a little mosquito near me. So a lot of old school rap like JJ Fad and Supersonic. Remember that song? Supersonic.
Oh God, yes. Okay,
that's right. Yeah, you're embarrassed for me, but you throw Supersonic on, and I'm bugging out. I like that. So anybody could be embarrassed by that. I don't think they've been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame yet.
Oh, travesty.
They should be. JJ Fad, they've got that one song. Stuff like that. I like Fleetwood Mac a lot. I don't think that would be a guilty pleasure though. A lot of people. But when I listen to Fleetwood Mac, and then YouTube will suggest other soft rock options for me. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, man, you just want to play Nickelback or Avril Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne I'd play. I'm not. What does Nickelback sing? Because I always hear them criticized. It
sounds very similar a lot of the time.
It sounds similar?
Yeah. I mean, I remember one of their songs was decent. Then there was a couple okay in the early days, but now it all just seems to be, I don't know. I think it's like 4-chord songs with the same lyrics, but they just change it up a bit. So it makes it feel like it's a new song, but it's not a new song.
All right. Okay.
It's hard to explain. Literally, if you listen to an album and you phased out, you would think probably it's the same song throughout the album.
Okay.
Yeah. And then that guy's droning voice of droningness. Oh, Jesus. Sorry. Just see, that's like a nightmare. You know, we talk about who would you like to be stuck in an elevator with? Maybe I should change it. Who would you not want to be stuck in an elevator with?
Oh, yeah, that list would be longer.
Okay, I'm gonna come on, like one person.
Oh no, this is horrible. Because I'm thinking about it would have to be some kind of crazed criminal, but I don't want to mention any names. You know.
Okay. Well, I'm saying like Chad Kroger would be one for me. Oh, God damn it, that whiny ass bitch. I wouldn't want to be stuck in an elevator with him. You know, like flicking his hair and trying to sing songs. Sorry, just
no. That's a legitimate fear.
Sorry, I think I just had a moment there. I'll just come back to reality. No, I might have to change up that question and have a 2-sider to it. Because I'd like to see like who people would be terrified to be stuck in. I reckon that there's Trump's bound to be a candidate for most people at the moment.
I was going to say the Golden State Killer, but I didn't want to name check him. But I don't want to be in an elevator with that guy.
Oh no, yeah, yeah. Like none of us want to be in an elevator. It's like saying, "Hey, let's go to dinner with Hannibal Lecter."
You know, every person you ask this question to, they're all going to say the same thing: the Golden State Killer.
You just ruined the question, Carl.
He's in the news. He's going to be on your show.
That would be a really interesting and dark show. Oh my God, yeah. Like oh no.
I know you're going to interview him. I mean, he's just going to be the answer.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking interviewing people like that would just be a really horrific show. Oh,
God, that'd be awful. People would watch that too, or
they would love it. That's the downside.
Yeah,
people are oh yeah.
No. Yeesh.
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah,
please. I'm getting uncomfortable. All right, here we go.
Okay. Last question. Okay. You're in a bar having a drink. Now, I know this is probably not an environment that you're used to being a performer. We try and stay away from dens of sin. But you're in a bar having a drink, and all of a sudden someone starts to pick on you, and you know you're about to get in a fight. What soundtrack starts playing in your head? What is your fight song?
Well, once again, I have to go with Supersonic by JJ Fad. I think that would be a great fight song.
Sorry, that was the worst time to take a drink of water.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine that as well. Oh, my God.
Look, I'll bet this time next year, they're going to be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And we are going to be partially, they're going to thank us.
I hope so.
We're
Supersonic and as a fight song. I mean, not Supersonic. I'm losing myself here. I love that. Oh my God, Kurt. Yeah. I can see it. I can see the actions. Okay. Yeah, we've gone tangential there. Yes. Okay, well, that is our quick fire round, which never is quick fire. I don't know why I call it a quick fire round, because it never goes quickly and it always falls apart. I actually like the fact that you thought about some of them, because actually some of them were probably the most intelligent. And I know you told me not to use that word about you.
Oh, no, I like it. I didn't say don't use it.
But I love the fact that you actually thought about them, and you've got like some of them are great. You know, really kind of like, I like your line of thought and the way you've actually, like your elevator one just, yeah. Yeah, I'm very impressed by your elevator one.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm just reading. Unfortunately, the way this is laid out, my camera stand is blocking part of my screen. So wait a minute. You should ask for the person's favorite song before you interview them. Oh, right. Someone's saying I should ask for the person's favorite song before I interview them and then play it. Downside to that is copyright infringements.
Yeah.
I did a YouTube video and somebody phoned me while I was doing a live video, and it literally had, I think it was like 4 seconds of Sinner Man by I think it was the original Aretha Franklin one. Was that Aretha Franklin?
Not sure.
Nina Simone, sorry. Sinner Man. And it got flagged for like 4 seconds.
Oh.
So sadly, I love that idea, because I was just thinking that it would be really good to be able to play some of these songs, like let people hear these sort of like guilty pleasures. But I ain't paying for that.
No, anybody at home can look up Supersonic and it's there.
Yeah, it's there. It's good. Okay, Kurt, I want to thank you very much for joining. We're coming to the end. As I said, I was going to try and keep this as tight as possible tonight, but there is one question I always like to ask my guests, and it's to impart some wisdom. It's to give the world your Yoda moment. So, as a performer, as someone who's been on the circuit doing various things, writing, fringing, acting, TV, is there any words of wisdom that you can give to somebody who's trying to break in to this crazy world?
Yeah, I would say resilience. I would say keep yourself in there, because basically keep working, because you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have ebbs and flows. Like I was saying before, you'll have things that don't work, but then you'll have that great, incredible moment. Great, incredible experience. And you just have to stay in there and keep working, and don't try not to get overly frustrated. If this is something that you really want to do, if you really want to write, create, perform, and a lot of things aren't going to work out. That's just the way it is. Sometimes you'll put a year's work into something and it's not going to pan out. But when you do put a lot of work into something and it does hit and it does work out, it makes up for all those other things. So I think I believe that's the key, is resilience. And I also think you'll get better, where you go, and you allow yourself to have a learning curve as well, because you're not going to be, I don't think anybody is brilliant right out of the gate. So
resilience, thick skin. I like it. Yeah. Thank you very much. Now, I've already kind of said what's next for you, but just for the future, obviously, once things go back to normal, have you any plans next year to be at any of the Fringes or any live events?
I hope so. I hope that everything gets I hope we come up with a vaccine soon enough, because I'm a little worried there's not going to be a Fringe next year.
Well, we are hearing a lot of big sort of things are cancelled until June next year. I don't think Broadway was cancelled till June, but I know one big kind of arts thing has said, no, we're done until June. So,
yeah. Oh, this is my Orlando shirt. Let's see if you can see.
Oh yeah, I can Fringe.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, I'm a little bit concerned as well because
I'm worried about it. Yeah, because because they have to start planning things. They're not going to, there's no vaccine, and I don't know, but I'm worried about, can these festivals sustain not being around for a couple of years?
Well, that's the big one. And, I do a lot of little fairs, medieval events, as well as festivals. And a lot of them live year to year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they've saved money this year, but they haven't made money.
I know.
So, and we know the Edmonton Fringe is, what was it? They were something like, I think I read an article, they're losing 3 million or something, just off the cuff.
Edmonton.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Yeah, I
might be wrong with that figure, but they were losing a huge amount of money just off the cuff for not even being on. So
yeah, it's going to be there's going to be a lot of changes. So if it's I truly hope to be doing it again.
Yeah. And will it be one of a brand new show, just out of interest? Are you developing a few new shows for the upcoming Return to Glory?
I should be writing something. I would like to do my Hooray for Speech Therapy. I'd like to rewrite it because I did it a long time ago. I'd like to do a show about my experience I had this year with my cancer and all that. Probably work in the photos and all that. I'm not
nice.
sure. Not sure quite what I'd do with that, but it seems like it should, because people responded so much to that experience. That seems like something I could do.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So a few ideas, a few concepts. I like it.
Oh, I've got a podcast too. I'd like to mention.
Oh, that's right. I do apologize. I forgot to ask you about your podcast.
That's okay. I do a podcast called A Lifetime of Hallmark. And it's myself and 2 other gentlemen, and we dissect Lifetime and Hallmark movies. So you can find A Lifetime at Hallmark on Podbeam and wherever else there are.
Now, please tell me you say nice things about them.
Why, do you like these movies?
Hallmark movies are just, I've got to be honest, they're happy-go-lucky. I'm a big fan of The Good Witch.
Yeah, well, do we say nice things? Yeah, if they're deserving, we certainly point out all the tropes and all that kind of stuff, and we've really gotten into the Lifetime movies, the Killer series, the Psycho. There's Psycho Grandma, Psycho Brother-in-Law, Psycho Teacher. It's and then there's a Killer series as well. So.
Yeah. No, I can get the Hallmark ones. I haven't seen any of the Lifetime ones, but the Hallmark ones are kind of it's almost like they've written one script, and we'll just remake that. That formula works. We'll just change some of the words and the location and the time of year.
Yes, but they are getting a little more progressive. We're going to see our first gay couple getting married. I believe it's tomorrow on Hallmark.
You mean that's the first time they've done this?
Yes, there'll be 2 women getting married. And well,
I'm just checking the date on my lap computer here.
I believe it's tomorrow, Friday.
2020, and they're just doing that.
Yeah, well, if it was up to me, it would have been happening years and years ago. But,
and why aren't you writing for Hallmark, sir? Integrity.
The offer, I would do it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, it's a paid gig. There's something that a lot of people don't realize about performers, and that is, sadly, we do have to be mercenaries. And, as long as it's not bigoted, racist, or something like that, we'll take the paycheck. Okay.
Yeah, it's harmless. So.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of people probably would never work for Hallmark, but actually, yeah, that'd be a decent gig. A lot of actors have made a good living performing in Hallmark movies.
Oh yeah, yeah. There are some. They've got a regular Lifetime. Also, they've got some regular actors in there.
Yeah, so those guys, they might not be big Hollywood, but they're basically paying for their family.
Yeah, it's a gig.
It's not a bad living, not a bad living. Well, Kurt, thank you so much. Thank you for joining. I should have actually put a link up for your podcast. It's a Lifetime of Hallmark, folks. So do have a look for that. I can't remember if I put one in the show description. You gave me 2 links. I think one was your website and one was your Facebook.
I think it's in the description, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, folks, if you're interested in listening to that, A Lifetime of Hallmark, do look for that podcast. I'll be honest, I haven't listened to it, so I now need to listen to it because it actually sounds really fun. So I now need to go and track that one down because I've done all other research but forgot to do that one.
Sounds good.
Can't be perfect all the time, Callum.
No, Kurt, but it's been great. I appreciate this. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you very much for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure. So what I'm going to do, Kurt, is I'm going to pop you back into the green room and I'll be with you in a couple of minutes and I'm just going to sign off the show. But ladies and gentlemen, Kurt Fitzpatrick, he will be back touring, performing like the rest of us next year. Do look up A Lifetime of Hallmark and do have a look at his website and his Facebook. He's got some great YouTube videos there, doing a couple of videos. What were the videos you did for the Fringe?
Oh, yeah. Fringe live stream. I do that too. I'm doing a sketch comedy for Fringe live stream, which plays every Thursday night. It actually was playing as we were recording this. It's every Thursday night at 9 o'clock on Facebook Live, and I am in the pre-show. Usually, I'm doing sketch comedy. That's from like 8:40 to 9 o'clock. So.
Well, we better get you off so you can do it. No, you've done it.
I'm done for this. I did it.
So. You did it. Yeah, your time, not my time.
Yeah.
Okay. Kurt, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Kurt Fitzpatrick, wonderful guest. Kurt, I'll pop you into the green room. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of a Scotsman Talks To, and that was Kurt Fitzpatrick. Kurt is a wonderful Fringe performer, actor, comedian, TV persona, writer. He's done it all, just like so many other performers. So I was delighted to have him on, and I'd never met Kurt before. So again, another friend made and a new performer met on the show. Do remember, though, if you're enjoying the show, you can be a guest if you are involved in the performance community. I'm just trying to find my tickers here. New screen, new setup. I'm all over the place, folks. It's really weird. But do drop me an email at callumlycanstoryteller@gmail.com if you want to be on the show. I've got a list of people, but I'm always looking for more names. I'm looking for guests, oodles and oodles of guests, an absolute plethora. I'm trying to get lots of my vocabulary going in case you notice, folks. A plethora of guests. That's what I'm looking for. And eventually I might even have 2 guests, 3 guests, 4 guests, 5 guests on at the same time. And we'll just have a big RJ-bargy, just a mental cacophony of noise going on with me just sitting there going, what have I done? What insanity have I unleashed on the web thingy? But our next guest is another wonderful Fringe performer. Her name is Melanie Gall, and Melanie is a very established Fringe performer as well as a performer. She's known by one and all. John Huston last week mentioned her. I'm pretty sure Kurt probably knows her as well. I didn't bring her up earlier. I don't want to throw too many names out there when I'm speaking to one guest. But our next guest, same place, same time, is Melanie Gall, and she will be on our next episode of A Scotsman Talks To. Remember, this is August. This is Fringe month, and that's why we're getting all these fabulous Fringe performers on. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed this show. I've seen a couple of lovely comments saying you have, but do join us next week on A Scotsman Talks To, and it will be Melanie Gall. But before that, and I've said this now for 2 weeks, but God damn it, folks, through hell and high water, this is happening. We had a slight technical hiccup on Monday, which involved a laptop basically dying on me. But on Monday, it's happening. A Scotsman talks about. The first show, which is now 2 weeks overdue because of technical problems, A Scotsman talks about Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster, starts on Monday, 8 p.m. Join me here for a fascinating chat about Nessie. You can ask me questions. We'll see what happens. It'll just be fun. But of course, after that, Melanie, next Thursday, A Scotsman Talks too. So lots of fun shows coming up, but I'll see you Monday before I see you Thursday, hopefully. Thank you for joining. It's been a pleasure. This has been another episode of A Scotsman Talks to. I'm your host, Callum Lycan, and enjoy your weekend, and I will see you on the new show on Monday. Much love, folks.